Yo, what's good, man? It's the Easy Pinch Out podcast with your host, Glory.
And it's your girl, Alex. What's up, y'all?
Awesome. And we have a special guest, as you know. We're going to let her introduce herself, but she's a special guest because we got her here, and she came all the way from a different state and promised us to be on this show, and look at her.
I'm here.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, let's get the applause going. Like, come on.
Buffalo native, and I'm just happy to be here and happy to support this podcast. When they sent me the information about it and asked me to be on the podcast, I was very interested and happy to be able to come here during Easter to do this. So thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. And yeah, so tell them, what's your name? What's your name and where you from, basically?
So I'm Dr. Rox, a.k.a. Roxanne, and I'm from Buffalo. Well, I was born in Cincinnati, but I was raised in Buffalo, so everybody knows me here in Buffalo. Right now I live in Atlanta, though. I've been there for 5 years because I'm a public speaking professor at Georgia State and at Atlanta Tech. So I teach all different type of human communications courses at Georgia State, but full public speaking at Atlanta Tech. And it's honestly my favorite thing to do. So aside from being a speech professor, I also do public speaking. So I get opportunities to come and speak on podcasts or go and speak at a college or a university somewhere else, or for students at a school. So I love to speak and I love to encourage people's communication skills.
All right, that's amazing. And so it seems like you're doing something great for the community, and not just for the community, but you're also helping out like the next generation, for people to be more, to build up that self-esteem, to be more comfortable speaking in front of people, because nowadays people are more likely to just go on social media, express their opinion, but they will never stand in front of a group of people and do that.
Yes, what they call them, Twitter fingers. So,
Twitter fingers.
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't even realize, I've been public speaking since I was 21. I was asked to do my first public speech. And that came from the fact that I was considered a runaway youth because I had left home when I was at a young age and I was staying at a shelter. But, my grandparents took really good care of me. But, at some point, like I said, you kind of find the taste for the streets and you get involved in things you don't need to be involved in. But either way, I became a success story because after that, and I didn't say this, but I ran away from home. My mom had passed away. She had committed suicide. And it just kind of broke my little world. I was 14 years old. I didn't know what to do. So I became a success story because I turned it around. I went to school. I got my degrees. I was working on my master's degree. And the shelter that I was staying at asked if I would come and do their speech to try to get donations and things like that. And
Right.
So I did. And that's when I learned how to speak. And I didn't realize until I started teaching public speaking that other people were not comfortable speaking.
So my question is, how did you learn how to speak, if you get what I'm saying? You were brought onto a platform to express and tell your story. Was it natural for you, or was it somebody guiding you through that process of speaking to them?
So I was raised very, let's just say my grandma called me the princess. So I never feared really being in front of people.
Yeah.
And it was just because a lot of the opportunities that I was associated with and things that my grandmother had me at, and events and organizational functions that we would do, I was always in front of people, and it may not have been like a big crowd, but I always had to introduce myself to someone or come to, a networking event with my grandmother. So I was with her a lot. So you watch her, who my grandmother, like I said, she's the president at Buffalo State University. So obviously she has a history, her and my grandfather, of speaking. So in watching them,
it was in the home.
It was in the home, and we had a rise to excellence in the home. It was our job and our responsibility to be excellent and give back to the community. I would always ask, why do we live in a city? We make enough money to live in the suburbs. My grandmother would always say, you can't help the people in the city if you're in the suburbs. So we were raised with this standard of excellence for the purpose of giving back. So I just kind of always knew how to do it, and I was always kind of comfortable with it. And I think that a lot of what I teach is for people who didn't have that experience, trying to teach them okay, look, this kind of came to me because this was who bred me. They taught me to be this way, so let me teach you what I've learned and, help you become more confident. Because what people don't understand is 75% of the world, they fear public speaking. That's like their number one fear, and they fear it over death. Like, you would think that's a real statistic. People would rather die than get up there and speak. It's a real thing. When they did a ranking of like what's your top fear, and it was public speaking every time for 75% of the world. And the problem that I had with that was that you got to public speak when you do a job. How are you going to get a job if you're afraid to talk and express yourself? If you don't have confidence, then you won't get the job. You have to speak when you're in school, and you have to do a presentation. Like, every school has some form of, okay, you have to get up there and do a PowerPoint, a lecture, something. But if you're afraid, then you don't have the confidence. And a lot of times in our community, when we don't have certain confidence levels, it's misrepresented as not being good enough.
You're not social. You're you're rude.
Not even just that, but it looks like you can't do it.
You're literate.
You're not good. Yeah, you're illiterate. You can't do it. So it's like, and you get these other cultures who have been raised just like I was, with a family of excellence and confidence.
Right.
So they have it, and these other students, and nothing wrong with them, but they just don't have it. And so because they don't have it, you don't get a lot of professors and teachers who can see that, no, this is a person who's trying. They just see, oh, well, you didn't do well enough. And it's a lot of that. So.
And so I have my next question, because I have a list of questions. Because I was so ready for you, I was so ready for you. But in terms of like public speaking, right? Can you share like any memorable speaking experience where either it was positive or negative?
My own speaking experience.
Your own speaking experiences growing up. You know how, like you said, you kind of like developed that skill, but like, can you share like any positive or negative experience that you kind of like went through and overcome it?
So you want a positive and a negative?
Both of them, yep.
Well, first I'll say the most positive experience that I had so far with speaking, and I've done a lot of speaking engagements, was when I went to New York City. And I went to New York City, that was recent. I went to New York City in March. And I had done several speaking engagements before that, but this one was so impactful for me because when I got there, I was speaking to 10 through 13-year-olds. And that's not my comfort zone. My comfort zone are college students.
Yes.
And the positive thing about it was that I was able to get called, get booked, go on a flight, stay in a hotel, and do what I love to do, and it was in my favorite city. New York City is my favorite city. I am going to live in New York City one day, once the kids are grown, and I'm in the house because I'm going by myself. And so when I went to New York City, it was such a dope experience because it challenged me, because I'm like, what am I going to say to these 10 to 13 years? They don't want to listen to that. What do you mean public speaking? They don't know what public speaking is. They know what social media is. They know what TikTok is. They don't have situations where me talking about the importance of public speaking is at the forefront of their mind. Okay. So it challenged me to put myself in their shoes and take my lesson and alter it for their age group. And that was so positive for me because I got good response and the parents loved it. And I was nervous, but people wouldn't know it. But I was very nervous at that moment because I'm like, these are 13-year-olds. My son is 13, and I don't like 13-year-olds. I live with a 13-year-old. But
I don't like 13.
No. My son at 13 is not who my son was at 8, okay? And I ain't saying 8 was too much better. I'm just saying it was better than 13. So it challenged me in a way that I was uncomfortable with. And then when I got there, I had this whole speech plan, and then the person who organized it said, can you make it like a workshop where the students can like participate? And I'm like, I was just coming to give a speech. Like I didn't prepare a workshop. So on the fly I was able to show my skills. And sometimes, even though as you can see, I'm pretty confident, but sometimes it's nice to be like, you know what? I can challenge myself. I can grow. I can do good, and I can do good for others, and I don't have to stick in this box.
Oh, because it's so natural to you.
Yeah, but it was tough for me you get comfortable. You ever get comfortable in something? And then, like, you feel like something is, like, pulling you out of that comfort zone. But you don't want to go out of that comfort zone because all my lectures are for college students. I never flew to New York City to give a speech before. I was on my own. I didn't have anybody with me, So it was an opportunity to show that, okay, you're not just a public speaking professor. Your communication skills and tactics are for the world. You know, they're for the community, all ages, all stages. So I challenged myself to say, okay, cool, that was uncomfortable. I ain't like that. And that's why I wrote the book Comfortably Uncomfortable, you know? So I learned how to be comfortable in my uncomfortableness, understanding that my gift is for all people. And that's why I said, okay, so I said I would do 12 gigs. This is the second one. This year, you know, just for the community.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to ask for money. I'm not going to ask for these things. I'm just going to do them for the community because, you know, people need it. And I didn't even really understand how much they needed it until I seen how afraid they were of it. How you're afraid of speaking. That means you're afraid to express yourself. That means you're afraid of your voice. That means you're not confident. Where do you go with that?
Where you go with that? And so one thing, actually, since you just brought up your book, so within your book, I had a question for that. And the question was like, how do you tailor your message to different audiences and demographics in your book itself?
So I have 9 publications, and my bestseller was in 2017, and it was called Love Said F You Too. And I wrote that book from a place. I'm going somewhere with this. Okay.
Go there.
I'm following.
We want to reach there.
And I wrote that book from a place of hurt.
Right.
And I wrote that book from a place of animosity. Was it 2017? It was 2015, but I finished in 2017. And I was hurt, and I wrote it from a place of not really good intentions, just more so, this is how I feel, and I want you all to know how I feel, and I'm going to write a book about how I feel.
Right.
You know, and at that point, I was trying to, quote unquote, help people, but really I was trying to help myself. You know, I wanted to get myself out of a bad situation. And from that book, as I grew, because 2015, I was, how old was I? I don't know.
She forgot.
25?
Nice.
What is this?
That's a preem.
25.
It's 2024 right now.
Okay, cool. 25. Okay, I'm okay.
She was 25.
I was younger than I am now. I was still older than they are now. And I was writing from a place of hurt. And then what I realized is a lot of people use their voice and their podcasts and things like that because they're really just trying to heal themselves.
Yes.
So going on through my publications, I started growing and started using my books as more workbooks, where I allow people to write about their own experience. And then what I would do is use my educational, like my master's degree and things I've learned, and use, for example, I have a book called An Effective Way to Overcome Abandonment Issues. And instead of talking about my personal issues with it, I say, hey, this is what the experts say you should do. Right. I've heard of solution-focused therapy. Maybe you should use those skills. And I reroute it the way I write, opposed to saying, well, these dudes all ain't crap, so F them. You know, I allow people to utilize the books to write for themselves and their own experiences. So fast forward to 2024, where I am now clearly older than 25 years old.
Looking good still.
Thank you.
Huh?
So that part.
Hey, black don't crack, man.
That part.
I wrote this book, and it's called Uncomfortably Uncomfortable, even when my voice shakes. And this book was written to get people to write their own story. So it is a public speaking book, and it can be used as a textbook because it has all the necessary things that you need in a school's textbook, like what is public speaking? Define this.
Yeah.
Here are the philosophers of public speaking. Here's what speech anxiety is. You know, and then it has questions like, okay, in this chapter we learned about this and that. So I took it from, this is about me, and I'm hurting, and because I'm hurting, I want you all to hear that I'm hurting.
Right.
And put it to, okay, let me help you write a speech. Let's write about you. So to answer your question, it relates to all audiences and demographics because within the book, everybody's going to hear a different story because they're going to write a different story, and it's going to feel different to them.
Right.
And what I talked about in the book as a relationship point, I used my students and talked about, instead of talking about me, I told how I got into public speaking, and then I said, well, I have students like this, like this, like this, like that. So they're like, oh, I can relate to that student.
To the story.
And so that it makes them more comfortable to tell their own story.
Why do you think it's so important for somebody to learn language, to tell a story? I think it's important in general for us to know how to speak, but you're a communication professor, okay? let's get to it, a professor. Why is communication so important in speech in general? Because sometimes some people don't feel like they have to say anything for their expression to be told or to be witnessed. Why do you think it's so important with speech? Definitely concerning your book.
Well, let's say this, because part of communication, the biggest part of communication is not verbal. It's not. It is body language. It is the way I look at you. It is the way that I, you get more from communication. Like, I think it's only like 8% of communication is actually verbal.
Right.
So I think that when you say speech and communication, body language is still communication. Speech is communication. Eye contact is communication. Like, all of it is a part of communication. Now, when we're talking about why it's important to verbalize, the reason it's important to verbalize, because you may misinterpret somebody's body language. You may misinterpret those cues. But the primary reason it's important to tell your story is because the way you get through life, my degrees didn't get me where I'm going. It wasn't the degrees. I have 3 degrees right now, working on the 4th one. It was my ability to communicate. It was my ability to relate to people. How do you relate to people? Similarities. Where do similarities come from? Your story, right? So in situations where people go for job interviews, right, and they ask you all of these questions, you're like, why keep asking me all these
What is your
questions?
weakness?
Like,
What is this?
yes,
You
right?
know?
Because most of the time, people are looking for something that they can relate to.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
they don't want a robot. They want something that they can relate to. So your story is powerful. And the reason it's powerful is because when you have these situations where you want to advance in life, people are not advancing you because of the piece of paper. They're advancing you because they can relate to what you have to say. So if you are in a community where you're already at a disadvantage, let's be clear,
Yes.
you know, and you also don't know how to express yourself without rolling your eyes or snapping your neck.
Only a certain amount of vocab they have.
Only a certain amount of vocabulary, and they don't want to talk about their story because I've had people tell me, I don't want to talk about that because it's uncomfortable for them, right? But you don't even realize that uncomfortable thing that you have to say may be helping somebody else, or somebody who has already reached the level you want to be at may have already gone through it and see potential in you and want to invest in you.
When did you start getting uncomfortable?
Speaking or with
In
life?
speaking and with life, that kind of changed that changed everything for you.
When I realized I was getting gray hairs, I started
You don't even got no gray hair.
You just can't see it.
What do you mean by gray hairs,
I've
though?
been graying since my ex-husband.
You ain't got no gray
That
hair,
stress,
man.
y'all. Oh Lord.
But yeah, so from just going from the book part and everything, you know, everybody get criticized for the work that we do. You know,
Oh, and that
there's authors, there's there's movie stars and so on. But like, how do you handle like criticism and feedbacks when it's towards your work?
Okay, wait. So she asked me when there was 2 questions on the board.
Oh, I thought you was talking about the gray hair.
No, about the uncomfortability. When did she start being uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer both. Okay, so when did I start getting uncomfortable?
Being like, okay, because you said uncomfortably, I'm able to be comfortable, but I also have to come out of the uncomfortability
From the book,
from the
yeah.
book. When did you start
So,
doing that?
When I started, so let's have a truth moment.
Let's have a truth moment.
Okay, I didn't start becoming uncomfortable with myself until I was in a relationship with someone who made me uncomfortable with my voice, who made me feel like I couldn't talk, or what I was talking about didn't matter, or it meant, and so at that point, I started becoming very uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable for that.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter what people said about my book. It didn't matter what people said about my hair, clothes. It didn't matter until it mattered to that person, and it kind of made me uncomfortable. Like, well, am I doing life wrong? Is there something wrong with the way I do this? Right. Like, and that's when I started becoming uncomfortable. And I talk about it in my book, how I kind of like, shut up. I stopped speaking. I stopped taking and speaking engagements. I stopped doing plays. I just kind of stopped doing everything for a while. And then one day I just was like, no, like,
I'm
no,
hurt.
that's not who I am. That's not
Right.
who I want to be. That's not the path that I'm going to continue. And that's not to say anything negative about him. It's just, we were both growing and maturing, and, we both had a different social aspect to how things worked. I won't say that it was necessarily like deadly.
And it's not just that, like, you can't really just let anybody get in the way of your
And
purpose.
that's true. But you don't even realize what your purpose is, because a lot of times women are conditioned to believe that their purpose is within the relationship. Getting in a relationship, having a man, and all that stuff like that. So I bought in for a while, and then I jumped back out. So I didn't start getting uncomfortable until the relationship. And when I got comfortable again is when I realized that my voice impacts so many people. And I didn't always know that. Sometimes I just felt like I was talking, but I've been called Shiro. I've been called, people just love me. Even a lot of my students from 5 semesters ago, they still calling and texting me. Like, Lord have mercy.
You're my favorite.
Yeah. Like,
what you doing today?
Let's go to lunch, girl. You don't got nothing else to do. And I love them, And then when I realized the impact that I was having on other people is when I realized that I got to get up there and say these things even when my voice shakes. See, because the other part of my journey is not just, I don't just speak about public speaking. I speak about being capable, being worthy, being powerful, being able to take what you have and making it into the big pot that you want it to be and being able to start at any level, So I think that when I realized that my voice meant something, I wasn't just talking. I was impacting and influencing. So at one point I was just talking, I want to be rich. I want this book to have 100,000 sales, And now it's like, I want it to be impactful. I want people to appreciate it. I want you to actually read it. Don't buy it just to say I'm going to put it on my bookshelf. Buy it to read it.
Buy it to read it.
Have an effect, And so that's when I became comfortable in the uncomfortableness. And at the same time as I was getting up there comfortably uncomfortable, it was making me comfortable,
The more you start doing it.
Well, I tell students all the time, like, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's not okay to not do it. So you have to do it anyway. And when I realized that I had to do it anyway, I became more comfortable with where I was. And that was maybe, I was comfortable all the way up until maybe 2018. And then I reintroduced my comfort level at 2.0 about 2022. Yeah. Now, what was your question?
My question was, that we all go through stuff.
Yes, we do.
Like there's actors, there's actresses, there's a lot of athletes and so on, and we all get criticized at some point in our lives, So like, as you being an author, being a professor and so on, so like, how do you handle criticism or, feedback when it comes to your work?
Okay, I have a story. I have a lot of stories.
Story time.
I'm the
Story time.
Story
person.
time.
So I always had it in my mind that people would just like it because I did it. I never really felt like people would dislike it or talk bad about something that I've done.
Right.
Until social media came into play, because I was always surrounded around supporters. So I used to have a really hard time with, like, if I post a video or something like that, and then somebody would be like talking crap or like, take this down, or you know what I mean, or just nasty in the comments. But then I realized that that's just who people are. A lot of times people are unhappy in their own lives. So the story comes with, I went to New York City in 2018. A lot of my stories are about New York City.
New York, come on
New
now.
York City. And I went on the Wendy Williams show. And I was a guest on the I was a audience member on the show. And I got chosen to do the hot topic. So, I guess I had the juiciest situation of the show, because they said, hey, you want to talk about this on air? And I'm like, hey, I guess so.
Right.
I mean, right.
Wendy Williams.
And I thought that people would be receptive to it because it was something personal that I had gone through, and it was real, right? So when 100,000 people were in the comments on Instagram dogging me out.
Yeah, you be like that, man. So you just gotta watch what you say on certain platforms, man. Especially Wendy Williams is more like the shades room, like people are so.
Wendy was on my side.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Wendy was like, get rid of that dude. And people were like, she gonna get back with him.
They have no faith in you.
Nothing. And they shouldn't have, because I had 2 more kids with him after that. So they were right.
Damn.
They were right. They like,
She gonna go back.
And I did. They're like, why she even get up there? She going back. And I did go back. So what? Sue. All right. And so after that moment is when I realized people just nasty. You know what I mean? And it just made me have more thick skin, because I'm not gonna watch what I say. I'm gonna say it anyway. You know, and those who it's for, because it also inspired people. There are also comments like, "Oh, I went through the same thing," you know, and it caused advice. This is what you should do. This is how I forgave the situation, you know, and those were the people that I was looking at, you know, because they helped me and I helped them, and they were like, "Oh, you had the courage, to say what was on your mind." And so I do the same thing in my books, and I do the same thing in my class, and I do the same thing no matter where I go, because I'm not looking for the ones who say I don't like it. I'm looking for the ones who said I needed that. And it may be 90% who don't like it, but them 10% is who I'm talking to.
And on your Instagram too, I remember you did post testimonials about people and about your work and what they had to say about that. How did that positivity make you want to push further? And how do you look at the negative comments and be like, it's not what you say about me, it's not me, and taking it in for yourself, but just seeing it as a pass, like you're just saying what you have to say.
So for me, sometimes it's what you say about me. It may be me. I don't care. You know, it just gets to the point where
Owning
it's
that, kind of.
Like, oh, yeah. Okay, if you feel that way, cool. That is your perception.
Nobody perfect, man.
Yeah, that's your perception of me. That's your logic on me. That's how you feel about me. And guess what? You are entitled to that. What other people think about you is none of your business. If I went around trying to see what everybody felt about me, I would not have enough time for the way I feel about me. I wouldn't have the energy to help the people that I feel like I help, and they say that I help them. A lot of the people who've done testimonials and wrote all of those testimonials, those are my students.
Right.
You know what I mean? Though I can text my students from 6 semesters ago and say, "Hey, can you do this for me?" And they will. And of course, there are some who won't, but most of them will. You know why? Because the people I'm talking to are the people who my message is for. So to answer the question, yeah, there's going to be criticism. Listen, I posted a picture of my daughter, my 4-year-old, hugging my 1-year-old, and it was so cute, right? And somebody posted, "Yuck." Like,
I know that shit he got.
They mad.
Excuse my language, but he got you hot.
it's like, you know, and I didn't care. So what? It doesn't matter.
Right,
you know?
right.
And again, that all goes back into the being comfortably uncomfortable, because
That's it.
what I have to say is more important than what you feel about it. And if you don't like it, you can keep scrolling, or you don't have to come to the show, or you don't have to watch it, you know. Or
But they gonna watch.
And they are. Or you can sit there and say negative things. I mean, it still gets my views up. It still pays me, right?
Huh?
Right.
My Instagram still gets paid, whether it's a good comment or a bad one, right?
That's
So
it.
I just focus on my kids, and I focus on my platform and who I built this for.
Definitely. And yeah, so now I want to jump into women in 2024. You know, like I feel like that's a topic that I always want to, you know, just have women that's in a professional field. You know, you have things going on for yourself. You're a professor, you write books, you know, and so on. And you're a mother, you know. So if we take a look at 2024, right, how do you kind of like navigate the evolving landscape of work-life balance and just gender role in today's society?
I stay out of the way and I mind my business. I say that because if you try to keep up with the stereotypical depictions of what people, men or women, are supposed to be doing, you'll drive yourself crazy. I just move to the beat of my own drum, and I take care of my kids, and I work my 2 jobs, and I'm working on my PhD. And I think that a lot of women in 2024 think the same way. You know, I always tell people focus only on the things that I can control. And I can control myself getting this degree. I can control, well, I can't necessarily control my kids all the time, but
Free will.
I can I can provide a life for them.
Yeah.
And hopefully some of it sticks, especially with that girl. Lord have mercy. And I think that in 2024, a lot of the quote unquote gender roles are becoming less distinctive. I think that there are men who do things that quote unquote women should do, and I think there are women who do things that quote unquote men should do.
Do you sometimes tend to fall to the standards of society of like this is what a woman should be? And when did you kind of depart from that and was like, I'm standing on my own standard on what a woman is? Because I am a woman.
I think that okay, so 2 things. I think that a womanhood is defined by whatever the woman who is embodying that womanhood decides it is. It's not what society says. And I think that there are a lot of people in society, and they're gonna be mad about that.
That's good. That's a word. You're saying something.
And I think that there are a lot of people in society who believe that, well, women are supposed to be cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids. And
You don't
things
believe
like
in that?
I believe that back in the day, in the 60s, women were taking care of the kids and doing all that stuff because
I believe in that.
they couldn't have, that's cool. See, that is your standard of what you believe womanhood should be, and you're entitled to it. But I think that women should define womanhood by who they want to be, not who, like I said, in the 60s or, 50s, 60s, women couldn't have jobs, or they couldn't have bank accounts. They couldn't sign their kids' birth certificates. They couldn't leave the hospital with their kids if the man wasn't there. They couldn't do anything on their own. So gender roles were defined in a time where women didn't have rights. And now that we're in 2024 and we have some rights, because we really still don't have as a lot, but we're being held to the standard of, well, you're supposed to be like that. No, we were molded to be like that because of the conditioning that you said we had to be up under. You said we had to do these things, and we didn't have any other choice, because if we didn't have a husband, then the money got left to our sons if the husband died, or we had to stay living with our fathers. We didn't have the options to be in the world on our own. So they're upset with women for breaking this gender roles thing where they never agreed to it in the first place. They were told they had to do it. And now people are upset with them because they're like, I didn't want to do that. I had to do that, and I didn't want to. So I don't disagree with it. I cook every night. Okay, I cook and I clean, and I don't mind doing those things, but I don't mind doing those things as a human being. If there's a woman who does mind it, she's no less woman than I am who does like to do it. See, I go by, and again, I'm not saying that I am totally against cooking and cleaning, but I think that I like to do it. And somebody who doesn't like to do it shouldn't be considered less of a woman or being down talked, or, oh, you ain't ever gonna get no man like that. Well, why does my standard of existence have to be defined by if I'm going to get a man or not,
get chosen
based on the
not.
things that I like to do? So I have to like cooking. I have to like cleaning. I have to do all those things for somebody to love me. Like, you're pretty much saying women are only valuable for what they can add to a man's life.
So I got a question for you.
Yes.
What makes a man valuable to a woman's life?
And it's the same thing, because y'all think I'm about to go.
What's your standard?
Because women tend to want a man that's
And
that's
they
making
do.
money
And
and
they
so
do.
on,
And they
But
do.
like a lot of times, if men we look at it the same way as you're looking at it right now, it's like nothing will really go, right.
And
You feel me?
I don't, and I'm not saying that I disagree. I'm saying that, so yeah, you're right. A lot of women, they want men who can be providers and protectors and financially secure. But what people are misinterpreting it is as, well, first of all, there's no city girls in this room. Okay, so let's not even go that route. What I'm saying is, financially secure means that you have the ability to take care of yourself. That doesn't mean that you have to be a millionaire. That doesn't mean that you have to be, this elite person. It really, for me, again, I can't speak to what other people define as manhood, It means to me that you should want to come into a relationship having money. That's man and woman. I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody I have to depend on. I want to be able to have money myself. And I don't want to be in a position where my housing needs and things like that are all on him. And I think that men should have money because they're men. They should have money. But women should have money too because they're women. They should have money. But I think that a lot of times people misinterpret what providing means. Do you provide me security? Do you provide me peace of mind? Do I feel safe with you? Can I look at you and feel like I can leave you in a room full of women?
So that's something that a woman want from the man, right?
That's what, yeah. That's
To,
what I'm
to add on that,
So like from men's perspective,
I can't talk from men's perspective.
I can't.
Oh.
So like from men's perspective, right? It's like we want a woman that can be nurturing.
Right.
You feel me? We want a woman that brings peace.
Right.
Brings peace. Same thing brings peace and security as well, because we want to be sleeping at night knowing that, okay, I'm next to a woman that I really trust and I know that she can, she can protect me at any cost as well.
Yes.
we want a woman that can cook and clean, because if we're able to go out and provide, like you said, work, bring money, you know, she can make her own money too. But we want a woman that can at least do things like that, you know, because not everybody is neat, but I'm very neat. So me, if I want a woman, I'm gonna give her what she want as much as I want from, like, what she gonna give me too as well, you know, if that makes sense. So that's how I look at it.
And again, you don't have a wrong way of looking at it. You don't. I'm talking in the sense of there are a lot of people who have this. Yeah, in a relationship, both people should feel secure. They both feel like they can be trusted. They both should feel like they are safe. But in some relationships, I know men who don't let their woman in that kitchen because they want to cook. Get your butt out of it. You know, they just want to do it. You know, and I know women who are biomedical engineers who build everything around the house.
Tad.
What I'm saying is, don't define one way of doing things as the only way to be. A woman who decides that and I know plenty of women who are the providers in their relationship. That doesn't mean their husband's entitled to any less love.
But I got a question for that.
Yes.
Do they ever talk down on their men?
It depends on the situation. Okay, so you're asking me like I know I ain't in the house.
Nah, I'm just asking because, you know.
Wait, but what's your perspective though? Like, what do you value? What are some traits that you found in men where you're like, yo, this can be in all types of men, where women can be like, yeah, I want this type of man in my life, you know?
I think.
What are some traits that you picked up?
So first, let me rewind.
Right. Okay.
I want to keep with my point that it's situational. Every woman's not going to be ideal for every man. Every man's not going to be ideal for every woman. And we are in this generation of podcast people, which actually I feel like I'm becoming one right now, who talk about these scenarios and people gravitate to, yeah, exactly what she said. See, that's why you dudes can't do nothing. See, you woman, she just said she
That's a fact.
So that means you should be cooking and cleaning too. She said she don't mind. Well, she said that, you know, and then they take the little piece that is applicable to their life and they harp on it and they make it something. So let me clear one thing up. I'm saying that, yes, it's okay to want a woman who cooks and clean, but it doesn't make you any less woman if you don't want to cook and clean. Now, in this society, it may make you less desirable to a certain type of man, but it doesn't mean you're less woman. It means that man may not want you. You know, what I'm trying to get to is stop judging people by what they do and don't do. Stop judging people by what they like and what they don't like. I'm not less of a woman if I don't cook and clean. I cook and clean all the time. I love to cook. You see on my Instagram, I cook every night. You know, I just got done frying chicken. I love it. And I want the type of man who wants me to cook and clean.
Oh, yeah.
You enjoy that.
But
we like to eat.
Yes, you do. But I don't mind the type of woman who doesn't want to do it.
Right.
Because I have
you know
what I mean? She doesn't want to. I have a relative who doesn't cook. Her husband cooking, and they've been married 20-something years.
And that's where the different preferences comes in. You know, it's who you want. It's your want.
I'm not less of a woman if I don't want to cook. You're not less of a man if you make $20,000, $30,000 less than me. And I think that in this society, people. And here's the other thing: people are just independent minded now. Like back then, it was a family cultural communication vibe where everybody kind of stuck together. Everybody raised the kids, the neighborhoods raised the kids. Everybody's kind of individualistic. There's no difference in relationships. People say they want relationships. They really don't. They want to be alone. You know, they want to be alone and they want some company here and there, but they don't really want what it takes to go through a relationship, because in a relationship, you might find a really good woman who doesn't cook. And guess what? Over the next 10 years, you're going to spend that time.
He might start learning how to cook. He was, she's good. She's great. I'm going to have to start cooking.
Everybody wants the finished product on day one.
Yo, that's so good. That's so good.
And it's not reality. God never gives you
because you're learning with the person.
Yes,
you experience.
If my husband wants me to learn how to cook, my love for him will be what makes me
that's
want to
good.
learn
That's a
cook.
word.
Yeah, I mean,
It may not come the first day that I meet him. It may come, you know what, babe? You look sexy when I be in the kitchen.
Because you have to.
I like it.
It's a person who still that's flawed.
Yes.
And the more that you are with this person, you're starting to learn more, you're becoming a better person. Definitely, the person is right. That's good.
People, men and women, because I'm not I am not. Don't try to make sense. I'm not on the women's side all the time.
Hey,
listen.
I'm just listening.
You're like, wait a minute now. Let me say something.
I'm learning
All
something.
I'm saying is
Trust me.
that a lot of times people are like in their late 20s, early 30s, 40s. and they kind of are comfortable with the way their lives are. So if they don't meet somebody who's a finished product, now my man got to have 6 figures. Well, yeah, by 40, he could have 6 figures, but you were supposed to meet him at 22, babe. And you walked away from him at 22 or her at 22 because she didn't have 6 figures then, but maybe if you would have stuck with that person at 22, they have 6 figures now. You know, so I think that people are looking for these finalized products. So I think that we jumped a lot of things. We said a lot of things. What I was saying about womanhood is, you know, a lot of times women don't want to do certain things or they feel independent because of the way they had to become women. They had to be feminist, and you know, why do we need? You know, we got all of that feminism and things like that.
I got a question for you after that.
Look, I'm taking over.
No, we're listening. Go ahead.
I got a question for you.
Are more comfortable with the way things were traditionally because it's a patriarchy and everything was for men's rights. And I think it becomes a little uncomfortable when women are taking up space and have room. Now, again, I ain't saying women shouldn't, because best believe I'm cooking and cleaning for my man. Best believe I'm doing dishes. And that's because I have no problem with it. If my man be like, babe, I'm coming home after a long day and I want to eat, and I'm like, you sure? I'll make you a steak, some eggs. What you want? What do you want, babe?
Hungry.
You know what I mean? But some women be like, oh, you just do takeout. And you know,
there's still food on the table.
Time, the love.
Glory.
Can't chat like that, man.
Over time.
Stop influencing people bad, man. Because that cooking, when she cooks for you, it builds up that intimacy too, you know?
That's when you have to take cooking from a requirement of the standard of a woman into a passion love project that you talk differently about it. My woman needs to cook.
It's not a must.
It's not a must.
Oh,
It's a.
You should make me want to.
Yeah, I want to cook for you, babe.
Yeah, and I'd be like, yes, baby. Like, I just.
Yeah,
like,
you got the chicken and mac and cheese.
It's on you to make her feel that way. Because if you start nagging me about some dang on cooking, I'm gonna be like, you know what? Take this shit.
Speaking about that, there was a post that said, "Here, I have a question." There's a post.
She's so happy.
Wait, look. There was a post.
You need another man in here.
Man. It feels like 201.
There was a Facebook
post.
I said I cook and clean.
She haven't been on my side.
Listen.
I said I cook and clean.
I will cook and clean, but there was a post that said they were sleeping. The couple was sleeping on the bed. So the husband rose and says, wakes her up out of her sleep, 2 a.m. in the morning, and says, I'm hungry. Could you cook me something? So do you think in that dynamic that she should go up and
cook? Absolutely.
She was going to say... She wanted you to say no.
I'm sorry.
Hey, that's it. We got it.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Because you know what?
Yeah, man.
Let me say this, because I know some people can be like, no. You know,
come on, go where you going? I like where you going.
From my standard,
her standard
of womanhood.
Yes.
I'm not talking about anybody else's standard. My standard of womanhood is, that's my husband. He's hungry. He had a long day at work. He's tired. He's got a lot of stuff going on. And all he wants me to do is get up and make him something to eat. Now, people be like, well, he can make himself something to eat. Well, maybe at that moment he needs to feel some love. Maybe that's his love language, and he feels like he needs to feel comforted.
Oh my God.
Maybe he needed you to do that because that was his way of expressing himself. Because we always say when men don't talk, well, maybe that's him talking and saying,
we were talking about
I need your comfort. I need this is how I need to express myself to you. And something's going on in my mind that I might not even be talking about right now.
Right.
But that cooking for me is gonna make me feel better. So yes, I think you should.
And you want me? I want to say something, because if the roles was reversed, right? Let me say someone breaks in the house, okay? Boom! Somebody breaks in the house now.
It's got a dramatic follow up.
And let's say she said, "Oh baby, I'm scared. Go see who's there."
He's like,
he's gonna get up. You know, he's supposed to get up and protect her.
Let's take it back from the dramatic.
So same thing as
it could be
cooking.
Something more simple. That's not what it is.
Yeah, come on, man.
We about to die. Nothing gonna happen if you don't get this sandwich.
No, I'm
but
saying,
we about to die if you don't get up. Lord, it's different.
I gotta go protect her. You feel me?
Simple though. It doesn't even have to be as far as somebody breaking in the house. It could be as far as like, babe, you up? I really need to talk to you about something.
Yeah, she's
How
a
many
married-
times people do that? Yeah, they
She
won't
was
talk.
married, so she know how to talk, man. We
Oh.
are.
Bro, I'm learning here. I'm taking in this wisdom, though.
Something's been on my mind. We gonna wake our man up. I'm waking my man up.
It's
And
been on
guess
my
what?
mind all day.
And we want him to be attentive to that. And it doesn't even have to be sleep. He's coming home from work. You know, let's assume these men got jobs.
They got work. They working.
Job.
He's not sleeping all the
I
time.
ain't vouching for that one.
Right.
They gotta work. Okay, everybody need to work. Unless you have one of them situations where she cooking and cleaning and taking care of all the kids and all this stuff, and she don't need to work. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, let's say it's something like, hey, he's playing his video game or something, or he's playing basketball outside. And right now in that moment, you need to talk. Right? He don't want to talk. It don't matter if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It could be 5 p.m. at night. But that's his time that he doesn't want to talk, just like your time that you don't want to talk is 3 o'clock in the morning. Or you don't want to make a sandwich at 3 o'clock in the morning. Right? But you expect him to stop what he's doing to talk to you about whatever is going on in your head. It's the same thing. You are taking a level of my time and where I find peace and comfort and asking me to do something for you. And he should be willing and she should be willing. And best believe if I ask my man at 3 o'clock in the morning, babe, I'm hungry. Can you go get up and make me something to eat? I expect him to do the same thing.
Right.
I expect him to do the same thing.
It's compromising. So you feel like in a relationship, not compromising, but you guys should be giving intake to each other. Give and take.
It is
for the love for you guys have for each other.
Yeah, it's not a compromise because I don't want to be with anybody that I have to
Feel like
compromise.
It's a commitment.
You're
Commitment.
committed.
Right.
What's the word
It's
for it?
love.
Love. What
It's
is love?
Because I love you. I'm gonna get up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I'm going to do this for you.
You know, I'm not gonna use. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Cool. Well, you don't want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I know somebody who will get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't want to talk to me at 5 p.m. when you playing basketball. I know somebody who will talk to me at 5 p.m. playing
So
basketball.
y'all be having a plan B.
No, I'll talk about you. I'll talk about men.
So
I said if you don't want to. I said you don't want to get up at 3
plan
o'clock
B.
in the morning. No, I said you don't want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I know somebody who will get up at 3 o'clock. I'm talking about the man will find somebody else to do it.
or somebody to cook for
No.
them,
She's going to call takeout. You're hungry. Listen, so 3 a.m.
I think
that's
that
terrible.
Women be having plan B.
And
That's
men-
it. So men, you have to just
Uh-uh.
play a part.
Not
be
Gloria.
the, damn. I'm just saying. Like
We're going to
for
cut that
you-
border out.
No, I'm just saying for men, just play your part, bro. Like be good to your woman because once you do something wrong, she has a plan B. Like she just
Hey.
said, like you don't wake up in the morning. I mean, you don't wake up at 3 a.m. to speak to her. She has somebody else.
That's not what I said, and you can play that back. I said men will be like, if you don't wake up in the 3 o'clock in the morning, I have somebody else to cook for me if you don't do
Why
it.
it has to be men?
Why does it have to be women?
Because you can't
See?
understand. From a woman's
You see?
perspective,
You see
can
how that
understand
goes?
But from a man's perspective, I'm telling you,
You telling me
yeah,
that I have a plan B.
yeah, women got plan B.
So from a man's perspective, you can tell me what's going on in a woman's head.
We don't have a plan B.
Oh,
See, but loyalty, females are very, hey, I'm a woman and I am loyal. You know what I mean?
so back to the
Loyalty looks very-
situation.
ahead.
There are men who are loyal. There are women who are loyal. There are men who cheat. There are women who cheat. There are women who cheat with women. There are men who cheat with men. It doesn't. It can't be the standard of all men. She's gonna cheat. All women have a plan B. All women, men, they suck. So don't get what it's too many people, and I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about this, but I think it's too many variations of people to try to
We got like
dictate.
2 minutes or and then we can.
Okay, for us to try to dictate how women move and act, you know, like I
Too
have
many different personalities.
4 kids, and people will easily stereotype. Oh, look at her, she a baby mama. You know how many? I had one guy ask me like, "Oh, you have 4 kids." I'm
That's
like,
so
"Yeah."
good.
How many daddies do they have? What does that? What does that even mean? Like that's kind of offensive. You don't know me to ask me that. I said 1, Jesus Christ. That is their daddy. You know, and I think that too many times everybody is trying to live up this stereotype, stigmatized method of how women and men should act, and they're missing the very essence of what real life is about. Like, enjoy your life, vibe with people who vibe with you, be culturally relevant, help somebody, reach out and touch somebody, help somebody improve their life and their situation, and find somebody who likes what you like and do life with them. Doesn't matter who cooks and cleans. If If you like somebody that cooks and cleans, get somebody that cooks and cleans. But don't talk down on somebody who doesn't. If
You gotta
know-
learn how to cook and clean. So
For human experiences.
everybody for survival.
For
experience.
survival.
Everybody should know how to cook and clean. It shouldn't be a requirement of you're not a real woman if you don't do it, or you're not a real man if you don't make 6 figures.
Or if you don't know how to, you're not a real man if you don't know how to fix things around the house.
If you don't know how to
Because
fix
if we're
things
working on
around the house.
traditions, you know,
For me, I do everything in my house. And I get fussed at all the time by friends like, why don't you call somebody to do that? Why don't you have a handyman come? Because I like to do it.
But my last question,
Okay.
okay, between men and women, who has more on their list of what they require from the other partner?
I don't know because I just stay in my lane.
she said that earlier. She said, I'm in my own lane. What's your standard?
She wanna be safe on that.
I have 3 rules when
3.
dating. And I always pick guys when I do date by 3 standards. 1, does he inspire me?
I hope y'all watching this.
Okay. 2, can I inspire him? 3, is there room in his life for me and my family to grow? Meaning, 1, when I look at him and see what he does and the moves that he makes, is that inspiring to me? Or is he just good looking? You know, there's some dumb,
They could be good looking and
dumb,
just,
dumb, just cute. That's all you got. Like, yeah, you just a trophy. Anyway, the point is, does he inspire me?
You
it
just a
doesn't mean-
trophy.
You're calling trophy wise, you know,
yeah,
the same thing.
Yeah. You know, 2, can I inspire him? Is there something that he's doing in his life that I can get behind? Does he have a mission that I can get behind?
Can I
Because
follow that vision?
sometimes, and that's not a bad. Sometimes men don't have missions that I can get behind. Some things I just don't care. Like I don't want to be a part of that world. You know,
You got your own world, you know. You
yeah,
have to
but
build
I
yourself
wanna
up too.
Inspire you
Right.
in your world, and if what you are doing in your world doesn't add with my world, why waste your time? I'm not interested. You be coming home like, babe, guess what I did today? I'm like, what? Like I don't care. You know.
Man, imagine somebody that you love, you want to go
But
back
that's the
home
point.
to.
You don't go that far.
Right.
You ask these questions in the beginning. You know, I met a guy one time and we talked for maybe like 3 days. And over that time frame, he would say things like, well, what do you do? And I'll tell him I do plays and I do this and I do that. And I'm like, well, what do you do? He's like, oh, well, you know, I just, I drive my Amazon, I drive for Amazon right now. I'm like, okay, cool. So what do you want to do? Oh, well, you know, I'm cool with this. And I'm like, okay, well, what are your goals? He didn't have any. And I'm like, well, what do you want out of a woman? Well, I don't really, all that stuff that you're doing is cool, you know, but as long as I get a hot meal at night. How do you get behind that? And he was already like twice my age, but that's just because I like older men. But anyway, it's like, well, how do you get behind it? how do you, I need to be able to feel like we're doing something in life.
We're changing the
We're
world
changing
in a
it with
way.
something, you know what I mean? And it doesn't, he can be an engineer, but he values something. He has a goal, he has a dream. Because people without visions and goals, they just go in a rat race.
Oh, you're just speaking.
You just go in circles, you know? But so I need you to have something that's important to you so that you don't spend your time trying to either limit me or your only focus is me and I can't make moves because all you care about is me and what I'm doing because you don't have nothing of value that you want to do.
So that's where the inspiration comes
Yes.
from. Like, oh, I see what you're doing,
see it. Let me
but now
help you.
let me go for my own dreams and
Yes.
what I always wanted to do.
Yes, and just you don't even have to. I want to see it and be like, babe, you said you want to own a garden or a farm. Let me help you. Let me help you. But if you don't want nothing,
Man, you
I can't
talking,
give- I can't offer nothing.
you know, like,
And the last one, hold on.
not a lot of women go
The
on.
third thing,
Right.
does he have room in his life for me and my family?
In
to
my
grow?
family.
Meaning, yes, we're going to start off here, but he knows how to plan and prepare us to move forward. Meaning that we're going to go somewhere with this relationship. We're going to change some lives, and my family can grow in it, meaning that they're going to have opportunities. They're going to be able to go places behind our names. They're going to be able to go to college for free because we worked so
Yes,
hard.
yes.
You know, we're going to be able to grow. We're going to have grandkids over for Thanksgiving dinner. You know, we're going to grow. And I can see that after a couple times talking to somebody, and I'll tell them, hey, you know, this was a good, you know, conversation. It was nice getting to know you. I don't think we're going to go anywhere. Not because you're a bad person, not because you don't make 6 figures, not because I don't want to cook and clean, but because I actually took the time to evaluate what really mattered to me in a person and went forward. A lot of times people just want somebody, anybody. I'm not doing it. That's not what I
Okay. And when do you think it's too late? As you're evaluating like the person, right? When do you think it's too late to actually be like, damn, like I'm too far already?
Too late to get out?
Yeah, to get out, cause a lot. I mean, you just said like you have to evaluate the person at first, and then. But what if you evaluate the person, they give you a bad, like the fake side of them at first? You know, they mislead you, and then boom, you're already into it.
People got to grow up with that misleading you stuff. Like, you can see what a person is operating like. You can look at it and you can evaluate it.
Oh my
and
goodness.
you need to take your time with these people to know if what they're saying they're going to do is really what they're going to do. Because a lot of people get in a situation and be like, I didn't know. Yeah, you did, sis. Yeah, you did, bro. You knew. Like, look at their background. Look at their family habits. Look at their history. Look at where they live. Look at where they, like, actually go to their job. You know, hey, let me bring you some lunch. You know, figure them out as a person before you invest. See, it's only too late when you start putting your emotions in there. It could take you 6 months, a year to get to know this person. But once you start putting your emotions in that person, then it becomes a little harder for you to get rid of that person. But why would you put your emotions into somebody that you're really not sure of in the first place? That's a reflection of you. People are brought into our lives to be mirrors. They mirror us, meaning that person came with something that you needed at the time. And if it's something that was broken, it means that there's something that's either broken in you, or you have this soul of feeling like you got to fix people. And then it's too late because you fall in love with somebody that you were supposed to be helping to grow, and not somebody you're supposed to be falling and being in a relationship with. So it's only too late when you give in to that and don't get out of it. I don't care if the relationship, if it takes 10 years, get out of it if it's not right, if it's not comfortable. But what you have to build is the strength within yourself. See, people think it's too late. We think of the other person. See, when we're in relationships, we're really in relationships with mirror images of things that we have to grow and reflect on. Everything that I see in my partner is something that, if I get an attitude with him, I'm not mad at him. I got to reevaluate, why did I get mad? What was it in me that got triggered? Why did that statement bother me? We like to put it on them. Well, you said this. So I did say that. Why were you triggered by it? You know, people don't do a lot of inner work and a lot of inner reflecting to figure out why they're triggered by certain things and why certain things bother them. And that's when it's too late. And if you get into a situation with a person who is not good for you, and you get too far in, it's because you didn't do a lot of the reflecting on your own. So you failed yourself before you even got an opportunity to know who this person was.
Yes, sir. And there you have it, man.
Ooh,
so we're just
Lord.
gonna finish up right now, because we're gonna do one little part, you know, because I have we have like a few more questions, but this gonna be for the other part. Okay. And yeah, man, this is Easy Pinchal Podcast with your host, you know, Glory Boy, and
It's your girl, Alex. What's up?
and we thank you so much, Dr. Rocks.
Come on.
Appreciate you.
Of course.
We had a great talk. We learned a lot. And y'all stay tuned for more to come. All right, let's go.